There is more to reality than meets the eye. We all experience the unseen all the time. God isn't a material part of His creation. Back in 1961, the Russian cosmonaut Yuri Gagarin became the first human being to travel into space. What an incredible experience it must have been. It was the time of the Cold War, and the race was definitely on. The competition between the United States and Russia was fierce on multiple levels, and the anticipation of what we would see out there once man broke the space barrier, it was just palpable throughout the world. While soaring through the heavens, Gagarin supposedly commented back to his earthly comrades, "I don't see God up here." Notice the irony? On the one hand, sarcastic, on the other hand, dead serious. It's interesting, isn't it, that we as human beings tend to think that if we can't see it, hear it, touch it, smell it, or measure it, it's just not there. And yet, we all experience the unseen all the time. I can't see the radio waves that surround me, but I listen to the radio. We know deep down that there is more to reality than meets the eye. I love science. Don't get me wrong. I love science. There's a security in knowing empirical facts. I can rely on things that are physical. I can rely on laws that are measurable. Gravity, for example, if I step off of a cliff and fall straight down, I'm going to die. So I avoid stepping off cliffs. I get it. But science offers me an extremely helpful grasp of the material world. At the same time, I need to understand that its reliability has its limits. From that premise that the material universe is all there is, comes the illogical leap that since we've explored the universe by spacecraft and telescope, and God hasn't turned up, well then, He just doesn't exist. Really? Here's the simple point that Yuri Gagarin missed. If God does exist, we're sure not going to find Him as a material, physical entity floating around in the universe or hiding behind some distant nebula. To quote Jesus, God is a spirit. In other words, God isn't a material part of His creation to be observed by microscope or through telescope. Think of it like this. If we represent the whole created cosmos with a circle containing all time, space, and matter, and then we ask the question, where is God to be found in the circle? The obvious answer is nowhere. Nowhere, that is, as a material being or substance. Even if we could search the entire universe, every square inch, with our scientific tools, we wouldn't find God as an empirical discovery. The Bible poses a very interesting rhetorical question. Can you, by searching, find out God? The obviously implied answer is no, not by physically searching at least. What I'm suggesting is that the answer lies somewhere else entirely, in the signature. Everybody knows Steve Jobs and the incredible Apple design team that designed outside-of-the-box products like the iPhone and the iPad. We all know who's behind the Apple brilliance, but we don't expect to find Steve Jobs inside the iPhone or the iPad. We wouldn't look for him inside his creations. He exists outside of what he's made. And yet the evidence of his artistic imagination is clearly detectable in his creations. So much so that we are certain that we're examining Apple products. The Steve Jobs signature is all over the stuff. Now, I believe that the same is true of God. As the one who created the material universe, God must exist in a reality we can't even begin to imagine or even articulate, Because the fact is, it's literally outside of the parameters of all we know. For example, most of us believe that we live in a four-dimensional world. But what many of us might not know is that many physicists are telling us that there are at least 11 dimensions, and most likely more than that. Just because we don't experience them with our senses doesn't mean they don't exist. So it's really quite simplistic if you think about it, to say that we've searched the universe and God just isn't there. Of course He's not there. He made it. He transcends it. And yet, He is there. God is knowable. As the author and cosmic artist, His signature is on everything that's beautiful and good. God is discernible in the form of design features, both in the world that surrounds us and even within our own natures. Outside of ourselves, in the observable creation, we find beauty and mathematical precision that just takes our breath away. But even more than that, we all have a desire for a kind of love, a quality of love that finds no perfectly satisfying match in this world. The signature of an infinitely beautiful designer is all over the universe. Bottom line, the scientist in me will never find God beyond all shadow of a doubt. But the person longing for love, that person will.